Welcome to the Bachelor Breakdown, where we break down the game of life.
Especially the games that men play.
I'm your girl, Erica.
I'm Ashley. Let's break it down.
All right, welcome back to another episode of the Bachelor
Yay!
Breakdown. I will just have to say, Erica,
Yes.
the men have been hysterical out here in these streets lately.
Ooh, I like that word.
I don't know, because they always call a woman like hysterical. So I didn't get it from myself. I got it from the Claire Bell Hooks on Instagram.
Oh, I love
You
it.
follow her. She does like a reverse satire of how they talk about women negatively, like we're hysterical,
Yes.
we're this, like we should. So she does the reverse for men, and it is hilarious. I love her. But yeah, the men have been out here in these streets acting hysterical, and I just have to say, like, when people show you who they are, you have to believe them, right? And like I think the men, because of social media and because everyone has a camera, like the men are being captured in their truth. Like, did you see that Harrison Buckner speech that he gave?
Yes.
The Chiefs. So the Chiefs kicker, gave that horrible speech at a commencement, basically telling women like, oh, your degree doesn't matter. You should really trade that in to be a homemaker.
Well, I mean, but
because
which
that's
is
the
so
most important
crazy.
thing. That's the most important thing in this world, society.
Well, right now, I feel like more than 50% of people are not even married nor in relationships. So, I mean, you have to eat. So that education and that having that foundation for yourself is going to help you survive, right?
Well,
like,
yeah.
Why would you not?
I think it just, for me, it showed like the nonsense of like what men believe about women. He basically told a graduating class of women that their lives won't start until they get married, and that none of their accomplishments, nothing that they achieve beyond marriage will matter as much as being married and having kids will. And like we talk about that, like that's what we are trying to debunk here. Like we are trying to encourage women and show women and tell women like, you don't have to exist through a man. Like you don't.
Well, your worth is not attached to.
No.
I think that's a big thing, is that your worth is not attached to whether or not you are married or not. And it's so funny. I just had this conversation with someone the other day. A friend of mine was kind of down and a little depressed, and I was like, what is it? And I kind of pried it out of her. And she was saying that she was kind of feeling like people she was meeting or in her circle was making her feel less than because she was not married yet, nor had she been divorced. She said she said it felt like it would have been better had she been divorced. But the fact that no one has chosen her, they made her feel like something was wrong with her or something was inadequate about her. And I was like, just because you're married does not mean anything.
Like
It doesn't mean
Trevor. Actually, I saw a clip of Trevor Noah saying the same thing. Did you send me?
Yeah.
You might have sent it to me.
Yes, I did.
Where he was saying like he would rather, like, it's almost like when he's a man and he tells people like he's never been married, he doesn't have kids, and he almost like would rather have been married and divorced, because then people in society wouldn't look at
something's
him
wrong with him.
like something's wrong with him. Like
Isn't it so sad?
I've never heard a man say that before.
It was nice hearing him say that. I was like, oh, wow, okay. So, but that's the problem, because, I think marriage, and this is one thing, like, we don't want people, don't get it twisted. We don't think that marriage is horrible. I think it's absolutely beautiful.
Right.
I love it. I think it's amazing.
Right.
But with the right person. And unfortunately, I think a majority of people, due to society pressures, have pushed forward into marriages that don't work for them or that are not healthy.
Right.
And I don't believe in
Not
being
healthy.
in something just to say you're married.
Exactly.
Because to me, life is too short. That's not. Now, if you have a great partner, wow, you are so lucky. Like, what a blessing.
What a blessing.
But if that's not the case, honey, you're not winning. You're losing, in my opinion.
Well, I think you just hit on something that is very important. You just said not healthy. And so many
No.
people are in unhealthy relationships and settle for unhealthy relationships because they don't want to be viewed as someone who is a problem or an issue or not worthy or whatever society deems
Wrong or
wrong or whatever. Um, because something that's also been in the news recently is that whole Diddy and Cassie situation where she sued him for sexual and emotional violence during their relationship, and for quite some time this man denied those allegations and
Mhm.
denied he abused her. And I mean, literally, like, publicly denied it,
Mhm.
like, the
Yeah.
tr so self-righteous about it too, and it finally came out, like, the video was released, and
Mhm.
it showed, like, the horrible things that he had done to her publicly, not in, like, a house or in a room, but in the hallway of a hotel. So,
Yeah.
he denied this and then issued a half-ass, dumb-ass, bullshit-ass apology about it.
I couldn't even watch it.
That you can't even watch because it's so soulless that it's like, come on. Like, and I will issue a trigger warning for this episode right now because our topic of today is abuse, like how people deny, and then apologize about the horrible things that they do to people. So if you have experienced abuse in any way, this episode might be very triggering for you.
Mhm.
But I've had my own experience with domestic violence, and
Mhm.
I feel like it's very important for people to share their experiences if they can, right? So, like,
Yes.
I have been in therapy for probably 13 years now, and I have processed and cleared enough to be able to talk about it freely. But that whole Cassie and Diddy, I'm not just because it's not Cassie's issue, it's Diddy's issue. The whole Diddy
Mhm.
situation was
Mhm.
very triggering for me because it just shows how narcissistic those people are and how harmful they are because
Mhm.
in their minds they don't believe they've done anything wrong, and they're
Mhm.
surrounded by a community of people that aid, that help cover up their
Bunch of
crimes,
enablers, yeah.
just enable that behavior, and they're almost complicit in that, in the abuse, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
So I just find it very and then you hear like I've even had to like step in with in conversations about abuse where people are like, well, she stayed. Whoa, 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 whoa. Like, one thing people don't understand about domestic
Yeah.
violence, first of all, it's
Mhm.
just violence. I think they try to like water it down with the domestic piece. Like, it's
Mhm.
violence,
It's
right?
violent.
And for people like me who grew up in homes where what stays in this house, what goes on in this house stays in this house. Like, that was a
Mhm.
regular piece of advice that was handed down to
Mhm.
me from my parents. So basically, that conditioning of what
Mhm.
happens in this house stays in this house, it creates a culture of silence. So many people don't
Mm.
talk about their experience of abuse within the home. And then you have
Mm.
this blanket domestic violence statement where it's like, oh, this is happening in the home. So it's almost like you don't talk about it, which
Mhm.
just perpetuates a cycle of abuse,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm. So then once you get older, that's already been ingrained in you.
So you don't talk about it.
Mhm.
Um, and I think for women who have been victims of domestic violence,
Mhm.
and I even hate that word victim because it seems like for me I have a negative connotation with the word victim. Um,
Yes. Uh-huh.
because it's almost as like someone allowed this to happen to them. Like, women aren't out
Mhm.
here allowing themselves to be abused.
Mhm.
That's not it. Like, we're not think something's being done to us. It's not
Mhm.
like we're welcoming in it. And that word
Mhm.
victim almost to me makes me feel like I've welcomed this behavior in my life versus
Oh, I
someone
see. Mhm. Like you asked for
like
it
I
or
asked
like
for
you
it.
did
Yeah.
something
And that's
pause
the
it,
yeah, and that's the
or
first thing like people say when they find out that you've been abused. It's like, "Oh, you asked for it or you stayed." Like,
mhm.
and to me, like that whole mindset is what abusers are counting on people to believe about you. Like, this
Well,
is
it's also
somehow your
psychological. Do you know what I
yeah.
mean? It's the I guess when I think about domestic abuse, I think for me what registers when someone says like they've gone through it or whatever, I think about physical and psychological abuse.
Mhm.
Because typically for a woman or even a man, because I've had guy friends that have been with female partners that are monsters, Ashley,
Mhm. Mhm.
and have physically um hit the men, thrown things, have alleged that the men did things to them and called the police on the men. So it's both sides,
Right.
just
Oh,
damaged,
anyone
hurt
can be
people.
abused. Yeah,
Yeah,
like men,
damaged,
male,
hurt
female,
people.
yeah.
And so when I think about that, I think about a psychological abuse as well as physical. And I think that's why a lot of people stay because it's not just the physical, they've psychologically also put you in the place where either you're isolated, right? Where you're silenced. It's all psychological. It's a building process, in my opinion,
You are
um, to get
100%
someone
right.
there.
You
You
are
know?
100% right. The first place that they attack you is your mind,
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
That's why we say whenever you start dating someone, don't tell them everything about you. Don't tell them what you like and what you
No,
don't like. Let them get
no,
to
no,
know
no.
you and you evaluate them because the first place abusers attack you is your mind. Once you
Mm-hmm.
tell someone what you want, they if they're abusive, they will turn
Mm-hmm.
around and use that against you. And as someone that has experienced domestic
Mm-hmm.
abuse,
Mm-hmm.
um, here I just have a few points just the, give you a little rundown on the play that they run on you. One,
Mm-hmm.
they attack your mind. That's the first place they attack you is your mind. Because if someone can control your mind, they can
Oh, you can
control
get
you. Period. If
mm-hmm.
they can control the way you think, what you believe, what you value,
Your buttons, your triggers, all that kind of stuff.
if they can use what they know, like what make you love
Mm-hmm.
them, or like, oh, if you tell someone on the first date you want to be married and you want to have kids, well, guess what? They're going to promise you marriage
Mm-hmm.
and kids to get
Mm-hmm.
what they want out of you, right?
Mm-hmm. It's
So,
true.
first thing you have to understand about abusive relationships is that they're not always abusive.
Mm-hmm.
Someone's not abusing you every single day because then you would know, like, oh, this something's not right
Well,
here.
typically there's these really high points
Right.
where
Really
things are
high
like
highs.
amazing,
Yep.
and then they can be the worst,
The worst.
and
They're
then it's
really, yep.
amazing, and then it's horrible.
Yep. It's the really high highs and the really low lows. So you're on this
Mhm,
roller coaster, right? And now the reason why they do that is so that when you're evaluating whether you should leave or you should stay, the mind will likes to well, one, the negative always sticks out. But if you can justify that negative with, but you know what? When it's good, it's really good. If you can
mhm.
justify the bad times
Yeah.
with the good times, it's almost like so what happens with
It's
addicts,
like
it's
you
almost
just
like
focus on that good, right?
you focus on the good. But what happens with addicts is this is why people get addicted to drugs. They chase that first high. So the
Yeah.
first time that a person gets high is the highest that they will ever get. So people get addicted to drugs. It's brain chemistry, and
Ah.
yeah, it's brain chemistry, and you know I'm a nerd, so like all
Yes.
science things I
You're all
enjoy.
researching
I'm all
everything.
researching everything. But the first time they get high is the highest that they ever get. And the reason they get addicted to drugs is because they're chasing that feeling that they felt the very first time that they get high. It's why people overdose
Mm.
because they're chasing that feeling. Either one, they haven't had drugs in a
Oh.
long time and they're just too much. But with regular use, people overdose because they're chasing that first high, which they will never get that high again is what and that's what they don't understand.
Interesting.
So it's the same like it can be the same mentally with abuse. Like you're chasing
Mhm.
that feeling of
Mhm.
euphoria and connection and love that you
Mhm.
get when it's really good.
When it's really great.
Right. So you use that to normalize the really bad times, right?
Interesting.
And
That's so
abusers
good, Ash.
yeah, abusers normalize the ups and like those high highs and lows as like normal ups and downs in relationships. No,
Mhm.
that's not normal. Like
Mhm.
ups and downs in relationships is like you might lose your job and then you've got to figure it out. Like that's an up and down
Yeah,
in a
one
relationship.
supports the other one, the other one gets its feet back on the ground and, like,
Right, right.
those kinda struggles.
I'm
Yeah.
sick. I might need you to help me when I'm
Mhm.
sick. You know, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I might have anxiety. I need you to understand that about
It's
me.
a ping pong back and forth.
Right. But not abuse is not a normal up and
Yeah.
down in a relationship. Cheating's not a normal up and down in a relationship. You know what
Mm-mm.
I'm saying?
Mm-mm.
Also, they blame like so abuser might blame their traumatic childhood as like the reason
Mhm.
that I'm broken because of my childhood. So they use your empathy against you.
Mhm. I'm
Um,
like, "This is my thing, Ashley, and you can tell me if I'm wrong for saying this," but
okay.
I've had guys say that before, and my thing is, well, then if it's something you dealt with in your childhood, you know better. You know
Right,
better more than someone else, in my
right,
opinion, because you
right,
see the damage that it caused. You see the pain that it caused. You
right,
understand. So, right?
right.
That's the last excuse you should be making if you dealt with it in your past.
Right. But people that are abusive use it. So the people that they normally go after, which is one of my points, um,
Mhm.
abusers usually go after really strong, independent people
Mhm.
who are brilliant in their own way,
Mhm.
who have tons of potential,
Mhm.
um, but also have their own traumatic experiences,
Mm.
right?
Mhm.
So where like me and my ex who was abusive,
Mhm.
um, what I learned to understand is that we both had the same abandonment wounds, right?
Oh.
Mine's manifested differently because
Mhm.
the way it manifested in me was I was a child of abandonment. And
Uh-huh.
instead of like letting people go and pushing people away, I clung on to people and
Mm.
because I didn't want to feel abandoned. Where
Mhm.
his was he pushed people away. So
Oh.
he got that push and pull that he wanted.
Ah.
I was like, no, I don't want to be abandoned. I'm gonna
Mhm.
just tuck,
Aw.
stay whatever, tuck it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so you usually have similar stories, but they
Mhm.
manifest the opposite
Differently.
different.
Mhm.
Um, Another thing abusers say to you to get you to stay is like, oh, just have patience with me. I'm trying. Like, I'll go see a therapist. And most of the times when an abuser goes to therapy, they're not going to therapy to change. They're
No,
going
they're
to
trying to prove
therapy
their yeah.
and it's performative.
Mhm.
And what will end up happening is that they will weaponize therapy against you
Oh my
to
gosh,
perpetuate
yes.
that abuse
I
still.
actually had that situation. And they'll have the therapist thinking that you're crazy, and you're like,
Yes. Yes. Because most of these people are charismatic. Most of these people
"Yes,
people
great
really like,
personality."
great personalities.
Everyone's like, "They're the best guy
They're
ever."
the best guy ever. And externally, like no one would ever believe they're such horrible people. Like could be horrible people to you. Like they would never do anything to harm anyone. Like they're
Yeah.
usually like very philanthropic. They're like externally, like people love them.
Would
That's
pray
why,
with you, let's go to
oh,
church and pray over
girl,
people. I
mm,
was like,
they be in church every Sunday. They be in church every Sunday.
I hate to say it because, I am okay. I love church, I believe in it, I trust it, but, like, I have found more devils in the church than outside. I'm just
Hmm.
gonna tell you.
Uh,
So,
I amen that.
I just
I second that. It baby,
I'm
it is nothing but heathens in the church, and like
it is, it's like
just
a gathering place.
it's a
I'm like, "What
gathering place for
happened?
heathens because honey,
What
when I tell
happened?"
you they raise hell all week and they go to church on Sundays, I guess to like
I think they think that, like, it just gets rid of everything. They're
I
just
think
cleansed of what they did, and I'm
they're
like, "No,
delusional. Yes,
no."
yes,
It's
but that's what these people are. They are performative and they will
yeah.
go to church every Sunday. They will go to therapy, but they will use all of it as a weapon
Mhm.
against you. Like, see, I'm fine. Like, something must be
Mhm.
wrong with you.
Something's wrong with
And you're like,
you. Sending you scriptures every day, the daily, like, word, and you're like, "Is this the same person? Thank you."
and show their ass, completely show
That's
their
what
ass.
I'm saying.
You
It's
know what I'm
so
saying?
true. That
Um,
is so true.
but that's the thing, like they perform, right? They put on this
Yeah.
great show that they're great people, and they're enabled by their mothers, their fathers, their
Yes.
sisters, their
Yes.
brothers, their aunts,
Friends.
their
But
friends.
they only keep people around that enable them.
Yes.
That's the only people they keep around.
Anyone that challenges them, that has a different opinion, that will say, "You know what? This
Mhm.
isn't right. Like, something's not right here." They completely eliminate them from their lives, and they
Mhm.
surround themselves with enablers. Like, I've
Mhm.
experienced it from like, I used to always say, like, am I the crazy one? Because
They
I
make you
don't
think you're
they
crazy.
make
You're
me think
like
he's crazy. Because I used
you're
to
like,
always
"No."
say, like, "Am I the crazy one here?" Like, everybody is enabling him, from, like, the foundation director to the assistants to the
Uh-huh.
agents to the
Yeah,
old high
yeah.
school coaches. Like, everyone is, like, thinking that this became and the thing about abusers is it starts off, like, quiet in the home, but then once
Mhm.
they get so emboldened, like, and
Mhm.
empowered, they will do it anywhere, like, in front
Like
of
Diddy.
anybody, like,
Yeah.
and it's
Well,
like,
yeah.
and
The
these
level of
people
disrespect for
just
another
grow.
individual is just
Yeah.
all-time high.
And once they start doing it in front of some people and those people don't say like, "Yo, that's not fucking right. Like, what are you doing?"
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
then they start doing it in front of other people and they don't say anything. So they're just enabled by all of these
But they're
in
also strengthened. They're strengthened,
oh,
and
definitely.
they get, um, validation, so that they can, in their mind, justify their own behavior, and that's
Yep.
when it gets dangerous.
That's when it gets dangerous.
And that's
That
when you have individuals like Diddy. Do
yeah.
you know what I mean? That's a problem.
And even though they know he did it, even
Mhm.
though they were witnesses to it happening, they
Mhm.
will still go out and say, "It didn't happen." They will
I
still have
know.
publicists, girlfriends, they will still
Mm.
say, "Oh, it didn't happen. This she's making
Mhm.
this up."
I
And
mean, this is another episode, but I'm telling you, Kim Porter, that whole like, it
oh,
doesn't
girl.
it I think about her all the time, and something with her passing, um, just doesn't seem right to
Don't
me.
sit right with my spirit. Mm-mm.
I probably shouldn't say that. I'm not trying to
I
be a
just
target for anything, but I'm just saying that to me just does not seem
because people
right.
you know what, another thing people always wanna say, "Why didn't she leave?
Mhm.
If it
Mhm.
was so bad, why didn't you leave?" When you get to a point where a person is abusing you in front of other
Mhm.
people and those people aren't saying anything, so they're empowered
Mhm.
by, "Oh, they're not gonna tell on me." And hell, even if I'm found out, they're gonna lie for me.
Mhm.
I know I'm doing something harmful and dangerous, and these
Mhm.
people are going to lie and say, "I'm not doing anything harmful and dangerous." So
Mhm.
you literally have one person against
Mhm.
a community of people that will
Yeah.
call you a liar to your face, and you know, like, no one's gonna believe me because this person puts on a
Mhm.
show and performs and pretends like,
Mhm.
externally, outwardly to other people that they're great people, they're
Mhm.
so charitable, they're great fathers, they're great mothers, they do all of these things, and it's no way that they could ever be harmful. Um,
Mhm.
and they
But
have
then, yeah,
such
it's
great
also
reputations.
survival. Well, it's also
Well, yeah,
and that's
for
why
New York.
I don't judge people, because, I have some girlfriends that stay in certain situations. The men are not abusive, that their situation, but it's not ideal.
Mhm,
Let's say they're not 100% respected
right,
in certain ways that you would want in
right.
a committed relationship. And they stay because they're like, well, what's the alternative? I could be with someone who's mean and not able to take care of me. And you know what I mean? Like
Well, that's
it's
the
hard.
thing.
So I think a lot of people stay because of
Well,
survival
well, it's survival, one, but also they've altered their mind, like, they've altered their way of thinking,
to
like,
also justify
to
it.
also justify the abuse. And, like, my situation was awful, and when I hear people say, "Well, you stayed," or, like, even when it was related to the Diddy situation and referring to Cassie, like, "Well, she stayed." When you get to a point where somebody is abusing you in front of other people and
Mhm. Or
they're
even disrespecting you in front of other
disrespecting you in
people.
front of other people, and they're compliant. They're allowing it to happen. No one is speaking out against it. No one's going to, like, no one's going to believe me because he's got this entourage of people who are going to lie for him and make me out to be someone that I'm not, completely
Mhm.
misrepresent me. Of course, society is going to say, "Oh, you're a gold digger. You only did this. You only want that. You're only doing this because you want money." And it's like,
You coulda left, you put
you
yourself in
could
this
have left. You put yourself in this
position.
situation when it's like, no, I have been abused. This
Mhm,
happened to me because it's all in an effort to invalidate your experience. Like, I know what happened to me. These people know what happened to me. The person, the abuser, knows the truth,
mhm.
and yet they want to lie about it. And because it's
Yep.
so easy to not believe women in our society, that's the default. People do
Mhm,
not believe women in our society, especially Black
mhm,
women.
mhm.
Um, and then they're so quick to jump on the bandwagon because somebody is well known or they have a certain reputation that
Mhm.
they just don't want to they don't want to believe it could ever happen or that could ever be true. And not
Mhm.
only that, the abuser is going to lie and use all of their resources, their money, their fame, their reputation, whatever it is. You don't even have to be
Yeah.
famous. They're going to use their reputation because they built this fake
Mhm.
persona
Mhm.
against you. And
Which I understand why someone would just be silent, because 'cause you're like, "I'm just gonna
nope,
be dragged through the
I'm
mud,
going to be
so
dragged through the
why
mud. And
let me
it's
just get
not
away."
safe. It's not safe for me to leave. Like, Cassie tried to leave. You can see it in the
Yeah.
video. Like, she literally tried to leave and
Aw.
she couldn't. And
Yeah.
a lot of women cannot leave these situations because the men are so violent. They know what
Mhm.
will happen if they do. So
I've had
some
a friend, Ashley, that said that because I was like, "Well, how did you even, like, get here?" And she goes, "Honestly, I don't even know how I got there." It was like she goes, "It's all, like" I guess also from trauma, she, like, blocked things out somehow,
Mhm.
but she's like, "I don't even know how I got
You
here.
don't
I don't
know.
even know how it got to this point of it
No.
being."
You don't know. And it just happens slowly and gradually over time. Because again, they're not
Mhm.
abusive every day. So you
No.
and when it gets to that point where it's like, okay, I know I'm not crazy and
Mhm.
I know this is wrong. I don't know
Mhm.
how I'm gonna get out because I know if I
Mhm.
get out, if I
Mhm.
try to get out, they might kill me.
Well, yeah, well, she had people telling her, "You just need to be quiet because he takes care of you. You're not gonna live a lifestyle like this
Oh,
outside of him.
that's a
Are you
whole
willing to
nother.
are you
Yep.
willing to walk away from all this? Because
That's a
now
whole
you're gonna
nother
have
thing.
to be." Because she, he what does he play? Is it rugby or something? He's a professional athlete, and they've been together since she was young, and she never, like, worked because they have 4 kids. And they were like, You've never worked a job, like, you've been with him forever. You don't have any other skills other than being a mom. What are you gonna do if you walk away from this? Like, you're insane. You just need to figure out how to deal with it. Let him do his thing and live your life." And, you know, but she's like, "Yeah, but I'm miserable." And,
Yep.
like, so basically, people closest to her, that is her family, is literally telling her to stay in this abusive situation.
Yep. And that's
So
what
it's like
happens. That's what happens. Like, I had that told to me from my family. Like,
Uh,
well, because the mindset, again, you have to think about, like, women couldn't own any property or have any credit. And so 74. So the women before us, their mindset is, well, he takes care of you.
that's what they keep
Well,
telling her.
and it's like, whoa, but do you know at what expense? It's at my expense. Like, I am going to die here if
Mhm.
I stay here, and you're justifying what I'm experiencing that he takes care of me. I got that all the time. Oh, you live a great life.
That's what they tell her all the
You
time.
you live a great life. Like, it's fine.
People would
And then
die for your life.
people
You're
would die for
traveling
your life.
here.
Like, they would
You've
love
got
to be
4
you.
kids, in the top private schools. Like, what are you thinking? Like,
Yep.
all this is gonna go away. Or
Yep.
the one thing they always tell, "Don't let another girl get what you worked for." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Girl, let them have what you
Let them
work, like,
have
you
it.
don't
Baby,
want
you
it."
once you get to a point where you're like, we're
I
like,
don't get
let
it.
them have it. Like, it's so it's so compounded by what people think is good enough for you.
Well,
And
her own mom actually stopped talking to her. 'Cause
It's
her mom said, "You're being ridiculous, you're being
mhm,
selfish, you need to think about your family and your 4
mhm,
kids,
mhm.
and you need to just toughen it up,"
Yeah,
basically.
it's
It's
it
so crazy
is
to me.
it's cr I'm telling you, it's like once you are in it, it's so hard to get out. 1, because it's not safe, but 2, like, you have other people telling you, "Oh, just deal with it, it's fine." But also, it's like, if you have been like, I met my ex when I was 17, and I traded,
Mm.
you know,
Oh,
you
you're a
traded
baby.
yeah, I traded, like, my career for his to help him build his. So that's another
Mhm.
thing. It's like it's another thing women have to think about. It's like, if I leave, what
But you've
are my
invested
options?
so much,
I
but you've
invested so
also
much.
invested and it's hard to
Yeah.
leave an investment.
Well, you can't put what Harrison Buckner said, your vocation, you can't put that on a fucking resume and have any value. Companies don't care that you were a homemaker for a decade. They're not going to hire you.
Yeah.
So as
Mhm.
women, it's like, as a woman in an abusive situation, trying to get out, you're not going to be able to take care of yourself or your kids the same way. And some women have to choose to stay, which is horrible to say. Like, thankfully, like, I got out. Um, and it took a really traumatic, horrible incident for
Mhm.
me to be able to get out.
Yeah.
And it my I have a friend who's a really dear friend of mine, and she
Mhm.
always says, like, thank God I had people in my life that was like, you don't deserve this.
Yes.
And you know my one friend, who was really the reason I got out, is she said, it's only going to get louder, it's only going to get worse
But
if you don't.
Ashley, real quick, you proved the point, and this is for men and women. Make sure your tribe is solid. Make
Mm-hmm.
sure those people, the voices around you are
Mm-hmm.
solid. If
Mm-hmm.
they aren't, you don't need them.
You don't need them.
Because like you said, this individual is what helped you to
Yeah,
kinda keep
she
a
told
good
me.
tribe.
And after experiencing that one incident, like, that
Mhm.
was just what not the one the last incident, I'll say.
Uh-huh.
um After experiencing that, I was like, oh, it can't I don't the next step is death. And I have 2 kids,
Ugh,
and I need to be there for them, and I've got
not
to get the
today.
fuck out of this. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's just, you know, it's a horrible situation to find yourself in.
Mhm.
And I don't wish it on anyone.
Mm-mm.
And I pray that everyone can get out
Mhm.
of an abusive situation, because these people,
Mhm.
these abusers, they're demented. They
Yeah.
don't think rationally, and they don't believe that what they're doing to you is actually harmful. And they believe that because they provide a lifestyle, or they are who they
Mm.
are, or
You should just take it.
you should just deal with it. Like, you love, or if their definition of love is suffering and abuse, they they believe that unless you are suffering, you don't love them, which is a
Mm.
fucked up way to think, but that's what some people believe. And it's
It's true.
it's not it's a never ending cycle, and these
Yeah.
people do not change, because
No.
they are only sorry, case in
Mhm.
point, Diddy,
Mhm.
they are only
Mhm.
sorry when they get
When
caught.
caught.
Yeah. And moving right along to our I have some stats. Moving right along to our scouting report, like, according to the CDC, 1 in 3 women and about 1 in 3 men in the United States experience intimate partner violence in their lifetime. Black women are 35% more likely to experience abuse. Um, and on average, nearly 20 people per minute are physically abused by an intimate partner.
Mm.
It's like rampant. Abuse is rampant in our
Crazy.
society. So it's like,
That's why I'm fine being single. You know what? The only abuse I deal with is my cats talking back. Okay? And I'm the boss.
it's so, and I think that's another reason why it's normalized, is because so many people are experiencing it, and a
Yeah.
culture of silence and shame. They think
Mhm.
because it's happening in the house, and what happens in this house stays in this house, like, it's a
Mhm.
culture of silence. No one's talking about it. Like, this shit is not normal, right?
No, it's
And
not.
all of the mindsets and beliefs and the backlash that you get from actually coming out and asking for help or saying like, this person is abusing me, I need help.
Mhm.
Which leads us to our in-game adjustments, what to
Mhm.
do and what everyone needs to know like about abuse,
Mhm.
which is one, you never see it coming. Like
No.
I've even seen women say like, oh, I'm too this to be abused. No, like I am, you know me, like I am a
Mhm.
very strong,
Very assertive.
very assertive, very opinionated, don't
My
take no
friend
shit.
too, and she
Yeah,
said, "I don't know how I got there." She
yeah,
herself was like, "I don't even know how I got to this point."
yeah. I don't play, you
So
don't play with me, don't take no shit off anybody. Like, but here I found myself in a situation where I was being fucking abused. So you
mhm.
never see it coming. You could be strong, you could be independent, you could be feisty, you could be vibrant, you can have your own
Mhm.
fucking career, you can have all the potential, you can be brilliant, and it
No.
still can
It is
happen to
not a
you.
stereotypical mousy person. It's not that.
No, it's not. What ends up like here's a warning sign. If someone in a relationship requires you to trade your career for theirs, your potential for theirs, um that's a red flag.
Mhm.
uh when you meet someone, if they say like how much they want to build with you, how much how much you can teach them, how much you could help them, red fucking flag. Like,
Oh, that sounds good. I love a man to tell me I can teach him something.
I can't teach you shit. You need to come educated. You know what I'm saying? Like you need to
I
come
love teaching.
educated. I
I was like,
can't
"What
teach
do you
you.
want me to teach you
Nope,
today?"
you can't. You ain't get no free label about me. I can't teach you shit. You need to come educated. Um, but also requiring you to shift your goals to help them. It's like help
Yeah,
me
yeah.
do this, and I'll this. I'll love you
Yeah.
forever.
Mhm.
Nope.
No thanks.
Nope, 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 nope. Because
No
see,
thanks.
when you start a company with someone,
Oh, you're locked in.
you're, but it's also a contract required. The operating agreement. There's an operating
Mhm.
agreement required when you start a company with
That
someone.
is true.
Who is doing what and
Uh-huh.
what will be the return on investment? And for a lot of women, we miss that piece. We
That
are
is true.
so eager to be in a relationship, to be connected with someone, to have a partner that we just trade everything for it.
See,
Literally,
I'm
we
the
trade
I'm the
our lives for
opposite.
it.
I'm the opposite. I do my due diligence, and I'm like, "Nope, don't want the contract." I'll be running from the dotted line. Nope, not today.
But also, like, okay, point number three is abusers also isolate you from your family and friends.
That is true. I've
So
seen that a
if a
lot.
man is like getting mad when you spend time with your family or spending time with your friends, if they are jealous
Mhm.
in that way, it's not because they want you all to themselves and they just love spending time with you. They're trying to isolate you away from anyone that could have a difference of opinion or could tell you that's not right.
Mhm. Yeah,
They you shouldn't be doing
don't
that.
think he loves me so much, he
Don't
wants
think he
all the
loves you so
time.
much. He wants you all to
No,
yourself. Type.
no.
And they also like if you vocalize to them, you want family, you want marriage, they use everything that you say you want
Uh-huh.
against you to ultimately trap you. So if you say like I want kids, well then they're like, "Oh, great."
Mhm.
And once you have kids with someone that's abusive, it's that much harder to leave because then
I
you
can
have
imagine.
kids and you have the
Mhm.
responsibility of raising children.
Mhm.
So, here's the thing, if you are in an abusive situation, I can understand exactly what you're going through. It is going to
Mhm.
be hell to get out. I mean, I'm still not done, and I haven't been in a relationship with my ex in years. Like,
Mhm.
because then they take it to the legal system, and the legal system is built for men. Society will tell you differently, but the
Mhm.
laws that run our country
Mhm.
were created by men for men. Like it
Mhm.
used to be legal to rape your wife. Like just educate yourself a little bit. It was legal for a husband to rape their wives. So educate yourself about the
Mhm.
laws in your state. Um, family court laws, educate yourself what that looks like. Because men use the justice system against women. It
Mhm.
is not built for women. And it could cost you a small fortune to divorce someone that's abusive
I
or
ugh,
to even go through child custody with someone
I
with
can't
someone that
even
is abusive.
imagine legal
Yeah.
stuff, legal fees. Oh,
So yeah, so if you are in an abusive situation, just educate yourself before you in trying to get out, you are going to need to educate yourself a lot, and get around a good group of people who support you and
Mhm.
speak life over you and like can be there for you. If you are not, if you are dating, be very careful of the people that you are dating. Do your due diligence, like Erica says.
Yes, and don't rush into marriage. People,
Mhm.
people, people, please, marriage is not the all end all.
No.
I'd much rather find someone and say we're 100% committed and never get married and
Yeah.
just be committed. So if either party has an issue, you can walk away clean. I'd rather do that than to rush into a marriage and have all the
Yes.
legal part. Stop it. Marriage is great
With
once you
the
do your
right
due
partner.
diligence with the right partner and you take your time.
Hmm.
If this is your person, take your time.
Yeah.
Take your time. Be
There's no rush.
committed.
No need to.
Respect each other. Build that friendship, that foundation, but take your time.
Hmm. Yes.
Just because you got that ring, it's not going to change anything.
It definitely ain't gonna change him. It's gonna make it worse because you
It's
won't
not
be
going to
able to
change
get
a thing.
out. But yeah,
Take your
and if you have any questions, you want to chat with us more, if you want us to chat about this more, just
time. Mhm.
leave us some comments and
You
we
want any
will.
advice? I'm
Any
always
advice?
here.
We're here. And in the meantime, thank you for joining us for another
Yes.
episode of the Bachelor Breakdown. We'll see you next month. Until then, do you, be you. We love you. Mwah.